Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our today's lesson. My name is teacher Kelvin Fudi Wanyabura. I'm going to take you through the topic Trigonometry 1. In our previous lesson or the previous video on Trigonometry 1, we did several examples on a different concept. Today we are going to deal with a concept on a question that you are told without using mathematical tables or a calculator, evaluate or solve. When given a question and asked to solve without using mathematical tables or a calculator, you use a right-angled triangle as follows. In our right-angled triangle, this is angle 90, then this will be your theta and this will be your 90 minus theta, and it is always like that. And then we use SOHCAHTOA, where sin theta is opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta is opposite over adjacent. We are going to do several examples or an example on this concept, and then I'll give you a question for you to do so that you may understand better. Example. Given that tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2, given that tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2, without using mathematical tables or a calculator, find sin theta, cos theta, sin squared theta, tan 90 minus theta, sin 90 minus theta, and cos square 90 minus theta. So we'll start with the first part of the question. Given that tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2, tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2. The first thing that you'll do, you'll come and write tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2. In your mind, you know very well that tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. This means that tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent, and in our case, 1 will be our opposite and root 2 will be the adjacent. Why are we saying that? Because we know that tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. My dear student, I hope you have understood. The first thing that you do, you write tan theta. You write as it is in the question. Tan theta is 1 over root 2. Then you already know that tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent, which means 1 takes the part of opposite and root 2 takes the part of adjacent. So you will come up with a right-angled triangle. You'll come up with a right-angled triangle. In this right-angled triangle, you'll have theta as this will always be theta, and this will always be 90 minus theta. If given theta, sometimes they'll use x, tan x is equals to, or tan y. So if it was tan x is equals to 1 over root 2, then this will be x and this will be 90 minus x. Now, my dear student, there is something I want us to understand here. If we have this right-angled triangle and we have our question, which is tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2, and we have clearly agreed that opposite is 1 and adjacent is root 2. The first question you need to ask yourself is this. The first question you need to ask yourself is this. Which is the opposite side? This is theta. This is theta. Theta. Opposite of theta. Opposite of theta is the side that directly faces this angle theta. This is our angle theta. So the opposite of this theta is the side that directly faces. The side that directly faces angle theta is the opposite. The side that directly faces angle theta is the opposite of theta. The adjacent is the side that is near to angle theta. The side that is near to angle theta is the adjacent. Then the longest side takes the hypotenuse. So opposite, as I have said, is the side that directly faces the angle. Adjacent is the side that is close to the angle. Hypotenuse is the longest side. So the opposite of theta is this side. The adjacent of theta is this side. And the hypotenuse is this longest side. The opposite of 90 minus theta is this side. Why? This is the side that directly faces angle 90 minus theta. The opposite of 90 minus theta is this side. Why? This is the side that directly faces the angle 90 minus theta. The adjacent of 90 minus theta is this side. Why? It is the side that is close to the angle 90 minus theta, and this is the hypotenuse. Now, from there, we can use this one now. Tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2, which means the opposite of this angle is here. That is 1. Opposite is 1. Adjacent is root 2. Adjacent is the side that is close to the angle. My dear student, what don't we have? What we don't have is the hypotenuse. We use Pythagoras theorem to get the hypotenuse, where we say a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. Therefore, 1 squared plus root 2 squared is equals to c squared. And c here is the hypotenuse. Now, 1 plus the square root of 2 squared is 2. The square root of 2 squared is 2. The square root of 2 squared is 2 is equals to c squared. What is 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 is equals to c squared. For us to get c, what do? 3 is equals to c squared. We square root, therefore our c is equals to root 3. Don't use a calculator to find the square root of 3. Don't use a calculator to find the square root of 3, but just come here and write your hypotenuse as root 3. I will repeat, my dear student. You're given that tan theta is equals to 1 over root 2. And we know that tan theta from SOHCAHTOA, it is equals to opposite over adjacent. We've come here, and the first step in that question I said is first draw a right angled triangle with one angle as theta and the other angle as 90 minus theta. Then you'll use this trigonometric ratio that is given in the question to know what is our opposite and what is our adjacent, and then we look at the hypotenuse. So tan theta is equals to 1, which means 1 takes the place of opposite of theta, over root 2, which means root 2 takes the place of adjacent of theta. What did we say about these signs? The opposite of theta is the sign that directly faces the theta. The sign that directly faces the theta is the opposite. Therefore, opposite is 1. The sign that is close to theta, the sign that is very close to theta is the adjacent. And the longest side is the hypotenuse. So, my dear students, we don't have the hypotenuse. We can use SOHCAHTOA. 1 squared a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. So 1 squared plus root 2 squared is equals to c squared. 1 squared is 1. Root 2 squared, this root sign and the square sign will cancel and you'll get 2 is equals to c squared. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 is equals to c squared. How do we get our c? We square root both sides. Don't use a calculator to get the square root of 3, but write it as root 3. But if it was a square number, let's say it was like 16, you could have known that the square root of 16 is 4. If it was 9, you know that you can get the square root of 9 without a calculator. But a number that you can't get the square root without a calculator, you leave it as root that number, that is root 3. Now we have the opposite of theta, we have the adjacent of theta, and we have the hypotenuse of theta. We can clearly answer our question. Now, use this now triangle, right angle triangle with the opposite of theta and adjacent of theta. That is because that is what we were given, and the hypotenuse of theta as root 3. So what is sine theta? Sine theta, we know that sine theta is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. Sine theta is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. In our question, sine theta is equals to, what is the opposite of theta? We're saying the opposite is the sign that directly faces the angle. Therefore, the opposite of theta is 1 over hypotenuse is the longest side of root 3. That will be the answer of our part A. Part B, cos theta. Cos theta. Cos theta is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Therefore, my dear student, cos theta will be equals to, what is the adjacent of theta? We said the adjacent is the angle that is close, is the side that is close to the angle in question. Adjacent is the side that is very close to the angle in question. Therefore, the adjacent of theta is root 2 over hypotenuse, the longest side, which is root 3. Root 2 over root 3. We go to the next question. Sine squared theta. Sine squared theta. Sine squared theta, we had already gotten sine theta, and our sine theta was 1 in question A, 1 over root 2. So, 1 over root 3. So, sine squared theta will be, 1 over root 3 squared. 1 over root 3 squared. I will repeat. We had already gotten sine theta as 1 over root 3. So sine squared theta will be 1 over root 3, 1 over root 3 squared, 1 over root 3 squared, because it's sine squared theta, and therefore 1 squared is 1, over root 3 squared. Root 3 squared is 3. Root 3 squared is 3. How do we get root 3 squared as 3? The root sign simplifies itself with the square sign and you are left with 3. Or simply you can say 3 squared is 9. What is the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is 3. We move on, my dear students. The next question is tan 90 minus theta. Tan 90 minus theta. Tan 90 minus theta. We know that tan is equals to opposite over adjacent. Tan is equals to opposite over adjacent. Now we'll consider 90 minus theta. Remember, my dear student, the question is asking about 90 minus theta, not theta. So when dealing with this question, will not consider the opposite of theta, the adjacent of theta, or the hypotenuse of theta. We'll consider the opposite of 90 minus theta, the adjacent of 90 minus theta, and the hypotenuse of 90 minus theta. Therefore, my dear student, in this case, we have opposite of 90 minus theta, the side that directly faces the angle 90 minus theta. The side that directly faces angle 90 minus theta directly faces. The side that directly faces angle 90 minus theta is the opposite of 90 minus theta, which is root 2. So our tan 90 minus theta will be equals to root 2, that is the opposite of 90 minus theta. Root 2 over adjacent. The adjacent of 90 minus theta is 1. The side that is very close to the angle 90 minus theta. The side that is very close to the angle 90 minus theta, that is the adjacent of 90 minus theta, which is 1. Therefore, our answer will be root 2 over 1, which is the same as root 2. Root 2 over 1 is root 2. Sin 90 minus theta, my dear student. Sin 90 minus theta. Sin 90 minus theta. You know that sin is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. Sin is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So, my dear student, we know that sine is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. But which angle are we considering? We are considering angle 90 minus theta. Remember, there are 3 angles here. We have angle 90. We don't use it here so much. We have angle theta and we have angle 90 minus theta. So depending on the question, that's where you will identify the angle to use and what is its opposite, what is its adjacent, and what is its hypotenuse. So 90 minus theta, sin 90 minus theta is equals to opposite of angle 90 minus theta. That is the side that directly faces angle 90 minus theta. That is root 2 over hypotenuse, the longest side, that is root 3. Root 2 over root 3. Finally, my dear student, we have cos squared 90 minus theta. Cos squared 90 minus theta. For us to get cos squared 90 minus theta, first we must get cos 90 minus theta, then we square it. Cos 90 minus theta. Cos is given by adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse, cos is given by adjacent over hypotenuse, and therefore our cos 90 minus theta, cos 90 minus theta will be the adjacent of 90 minus theta is the side that is very close to 90 minus theta, that is 1 over the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, which is root 3. That is cos 90 minus theta. Cos squared 90 minus theta, cos squared 90 minus theta will be cos 90 minus theta squared. So it's 1 over root 3 squared, which will give us 1 over 3. That is cos squared 90 minus theta. Cos squared 90 minus theta. So my dear students, that's how we tackle such kind of a question. You have one question here for you to do on your own. Given that sine theta is equals to 4 over 5, find without using calculators or mathematical tables cos 90 minus theta, sine 90 minus theta, tan 90 minus theta, tan squared theta, cos squared theta, and sine squared theta. My dear students, I have a mathematics revision book, a very helpful mathematics revision book, boosting mathematics performance, KCSE mathematics revision book by teacher Kelvin Fudi Wanyambura. If you need a copy of the book, you can contact me through 0705 845 747. Thank you for the lesson. May God bless you abundantly. My name is teacher Kelvin Fudi Wanyabura. God bless you abundantly. Bye bye.